to try to share and give you guys some.
Sorry, that's the wife. I'm sorry. Keep going, it's good.
No, we have to start again.
No, it's good. No.
You gonna keep it? Yeah, keep it.
It was good.
Yeah, so keep it going. What's up, guys? So third episode now. Today with Damien Gulliver, a good friend of mine, and it's a pleasure to have you here. So Damien Gulliver, we're gonna talk a little bit about the swimming, surf life saving, surfing, and everything. If you don't know Damien, he is a board rider, waterman, like everything related to water in sports. Damien already have done or tried or still doing it. So that's why it's a pleasure to have Damien here. If you don't know Damien is a very early age. He was a record holder on the Gold Coast. He is also a national swim and life save gold medalist. His father is like one of the Hall of Fame coaches in Australia. And welcome to the show, Damien.
Thank you. Nice intro, mate.
Yeah.
You talked me up. I need you to sell me better.
Yeah, so that's the truth, man. Like
Oh, God.
inspiring people.
Oh, thanks, mate. Thanks.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk a little bit about swimming, surf life saving, all your overseas experiences, surfing, of course, a passion we have in common, and of course, we're gonna try to bring up a little bit of the philosophy, methodology that you have developed during the years. That's very effective for learn to swim and surf safety. So, welcome to the show, Damien.
Well, thanks, man. Let's lock in. Let's go for it. I'm looking forward to this. We love to talk.
Yeah,
we love
definitely.
to talk. I think outside of the swimming environment, I tend to not talk so much because we talk so much coaching. But when we catch up, we don't shut up. We've always got lots of ideas and similar experience. Probably what the listeners don't know is we're exactly the same age and we're only a few weeks apart.
Yeah.
And we met, a year ago or more?
Yeah, I think so.
It was an immediate attraction of similar experiences and energy. And I think we can sort of share some of that today.
Yeah, with a good chemistry.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that we've met, and I consider you one of my best mates. And thanks for having me, man.
You're more than welcome. So tell us a little bit more about your beginning with swimming. Like I know that was like you pretty much was born in the pool.
Yep.
How was that?
Yeah, well, we didn't know any different. I got two brothers, one close age to me, a year older, but we grew up inside the water. Soon as I was born, pretty much weeks, as soon as I was healthy enough to go in water, I was in water, like most children, except I was in the chlorine pool. Mum and Dad did coaching, running and learn to swim all day, and had two swim schools. And so instead of sending us to daycare, we would swim all day in the lessons, next to the lessons, underwater with flippers, goggles, whatever, no goggles, no clothes. But it was
good money saving though.
Yeah. But it was all day, every day. So the result of that was we didn't really have a choice. We were going to swim, we were going to enjoy the water, or we weren't going to. There was no option.
And you're saying like that you got to the point that you truly believed that you could breathe under the water.
Yeah. And I have memories of that still, where I used to didn't know whether up was down and down was up when it came to the swimming pool. Breathing was never a conscious thought, and we could hold our breath a long time, like a lot of babies. They have huge lungs, but we could hold our breath a long time. So we did spend a lot of time under the water, to the point where I recall my older brother, when he got to about 6 years of age, he swam 75 meters underwater. At 6 years of age. Yeah. And for
that's why I say waterman.
Yeah.
So pretty much a fish.
Yeah, so for listeners to understand that, if it's a 50-meter Olympic pool, he swam the full lap and halfway back underwater, and he was 6 years old.
Ah, that's
I couldn't do quite that much.
Yeah.
But that was the benefit. That was the benefit of sort of growing up with holding the breath all the time.
So so coming from a fish family or a dolphin family, I don't know how to connect that. So I remember that you said that you used to swim like butterfly is the record you hold for. I think one of the longest time like holding
Yeah, that's
a record in Australia.
It's a Gold Coast record. I don't know if it's an Australian in terms of the length of it, but it was done when I was about 7 years of age in the under 8s, and I'm now 45, so that's still there. And it wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't actually a great time. A year later, the time really came down. And then the year after that, there was our first opportunity, I think, to do the nationals, and the record sat there for a while too. But that's still there, and I actually was going to try and coach someone to try and beat it. For a period of my time when I was quite, I guess, a young coach, very keen to prove myself, lots of ego. I thought I'm just going to make a kid who's better than that. And but I've changed my philosophy sort of during the journey. So, but that was a real goal of mine, to produce a child from Learn to Swim and to beat that record and be the coach that,
It's an interesting goal. Yeah. So after that, I think you start like deviating like the pool to the ocean, and you start to surf, start to develop the passion and the love for surfing, and end up going to deviating like on the when you were a teenager, you deviate to surf life saving. How was the transition?
Yeah, so my father was always a beach guy. So we grew up in the pool, but it was the beach and the pool. So when we weren't in the pool, we were down the beach. He grew up on the Gold Coast, and he literally taught himself to swim in the lagoon that used to form at Kira, the famous surf spot. At certain times of the year, a lagoon forms in the sand there, and it's a puddle of about a foot or two. It becomes very septic after a while because there's no flow. It's just a puddle. But he grew up swimming there, and then he progressed into the surf. So he was an ocean kid, and became more of an ocean man as he progressed through life, and he just passed it on to us. So we were down the beach every day in the mornings before school, and we were always surfing. Like, we had surfboards, before we had bicycles. And in hindsight, maybe I would have preferred to go down that real surfing path. I guess it would have been a little bit easier than most swimmers in terms of the competition side of things. But we were always surfing, and to the point where we would go to swimming carnivals on the weekend. We would surf before the carnival, we'd finish the carnival, we'd go surfing after the carnival. And it got to a point, like a lot of kids, because I started so young, by the time I got to 12, I'd already done 8 years of full-blown competition swimming, which meant almost every weekend competing.
I know how it is.
I was sick of it, and I wanted to just surf. And my father was quite adamant that he wanted me to keep doing some sort of competition sport. So he said to me that if I was to do the Nippers, which is the surf life saving for juniors, surf life saving competition for juniors, if I was to involve myself more in that area, then he would support it, So I sort of transitioned into surf life saving, which, for people listening, if they don't know what that is, it's basically like training and racing for lifeguards.
Yeah.
All right, and it progressed out of that to become.
And you have the running in the sand, you have swimming in the ocean, you have like the body surf, and you have the kayaking and the pedal boards that you use. So it's very fun. Like, if you're not in Australia, I recommend you to give it a look at the YouTube, because it's super very interesting and very easy to get following along for the sport. But I remember that. You became another legend on surf life saving with some gold medals, but in the end of the day, we end up with an injury on the lower back that end up bringing you to a very serious problem like herniations, and end up in a surgery. What limited you with the sports and everything? How old were you when you had the problem on the lower back?
Yeah, so that started to show its head seriously when I was about 17.
Yeah, very young.
Yeah. So I was full-blown training for a professional career in the sport. So to give you an idea, that in those days, the leading guys, one or two guys, were doing about close to $1 million in the early 90s in the sport. So it was a genuine career, right? And so I put a lot on hold, and I was training a lot, 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. and I started to have problems with my running because of the pain in my back. I started to have problems with ski paddling, which ocean ski paddling is like kayaking in the ocean, essentially. So that's what we would paddle. So there was the injury started to create problems where I couldn't train. So I started to train less just in order to stay in the sport. And it slowly over a period of about 5 years just got worse and worse and worse to the point where I'd finally made it as a professional. And I was in my first season as a professional, and I was literally walking in the races and I had to pull out.
Yeah. But this is interesting to bring up this subject, because a lot of people they have problem on the back, serious problem. So you had surgery, if I'm not wrong, you had a fusion on the lumbar spinal cord and
Two fusions.
Two fusions
And a disc replacement.
Yeah, so
yeah.
But the good thing, you are back on surfing, so you can surf, you can swim, you can do. Of course, you have to manage the limitations you have from the surgery.
Yeah.
I'm one of the guy. I'm also exercise physiologist, so I work with people that are trying to recover from lower back problems and issues. And one of the main problems is people. I like to avoid the surgery for my clients and say, let's try to find a pathway, because fusion, you know that you're going to limit the motion for the rest of your life. But it's good to know that the resilience you have, it just came back to sport. You're still surfing, you're still doing your stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good point, so it's pretty good. So when did you move to South Africa? It was because of your father, yeah?
So my family had a breakup. My parents split, the marriage split when I was about 13, 14. And my father went travelling like a lot of guys do just to try and get over it. And my mother's actually South African, so he met her a long time ago in South Africa. And he was quite fond of the women there, and he met her there, and then he brought her out to Australia, where they settled and they had kids. And anyway, they'd split, and my father was travelling, and naturally I was at that age where I really needed my father around, and I stopped going to school, and nobody knew, and I was at the beach for about 8 months. I just went to the beach every day surfing, and when. So I know it doesn't sound great.
No, it's good. No, but it's not good for a teenager. Don't quit school, guys. But their school rang my mother after a period of time and said, "We haven't seen your son. What's going on?" And she spoke to my father, and I got two options. One was to go to boarding school 100 kilometres away, and I wouldn't be able to go to the beach very often at all. And I was in a period of my life where the beach was really there for me, and I wanted the beach, and I loved the beach, and I had a real passion for the beach. And so important for the mental health as well.
And that wasn't an option for me personally. I didn't want to do it. And then my dad said, "Listen, I'm in South Africa. I'm going to settle here for a while. If you want to come over, you have to go to a similar school to the boarding school that you were going to go to." But he was living on the beach, and he promised me that I could go surfing before and after school as long as I kept my grades up. And so I pretty much made a decision straight away based around surfing.
Beautiful. So you get back to school and get back to surfing and everything together. So that's good.
Yeah.
But South Africa is too sharky there. Any stories of shark there?
You know, the funny thing about it is when you're in South Africa, they ask the same questions about Australia. So they think we've got the sharkiest coastline in the world, and we think that they've got the sharkiest coastline in the world. But what I will say is that one of the most fascinating things in relation to those sharks is watching the Sardine Run that goes up the east coast of South Africa. So for those people listening who don't know what this is about, basically each year a huge amount of sardines, they swim all the way up the east coast of South Africa, and it starts this massive progression of birds and whales and dolphins and sharks, and it just goes crazy right up the coast. And when you see it, you see all the great whites, and they literally beach themselves on the beach. They chase the sardines up the beach and to eat them. All right, and you can swim in the sardines and not get eaten because there's so much food around.
They don't care about you.
No. But when you see it, there's a lot of it on National Geo and that. But when you see it in real life, it's something special. It's amazing. But I didn't have many shark experiences over there. I think
I would die.
A couple of them swam under me, and they weren't that big.
Jesus.
Yeah, they weren't that big, but But yeah, I mean, South Africa as a country and a coastline is very similar to Australia. The difference is obviously that it's not as populated. There's not as many people surfing.
Yeah.
There's not as many people in the water. It's like every country that's getting more crowded these days. But still, I have guys from South Africa ring me all the time saying, I'm surfing at, some famous spot over there and there's only 2 guys out. And I'm like, man, there's nothing like that here.
Yeah, there's 2,000 guys out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same, like in Brazil, I think I had like more encounters with shark in Brazil than in Australia.
Yeah.
But in Australia, it's a bull shark, so I say, so keep your feet out of the water.
Bull shark, grey white.
Yeah. So I don't want to meet them anymore. So then you came back to Australia and started. You were already like coaching since 14, and
so that's when I started coaching. So when I was doing the Ironman, I was surfing heavily there. I was actually competing in surfing, and I was going down that path, and I was doing quite well. And in my area there was 2 or 3 guys that went on to go onto the world tour that was similar age, and I was competing quite heavily against them. And I did one competition where I felt I won the heat, and I think a lot of competition surfers go through this, and it depends on how you handle it.
Subjective is terrible.
Yeah, and I felt like I won the heat, and I won it really fair and square, and I actually got last in the heat, and it really damaged me in my view of the sport in general. And
same as skateboarding.
Yeah, and look, who knows if I did really win the heat or not, but my ego said that I won the heat, and I went upstairs and I was quite cranky, and I remember my father saying, if you want to be in a sport where where this doesn't happen, you got to go in a sport where it's the first one across the line.
Yeah, exactly.
And then a month later he came back with a surf life saving race board, which I used to do when I was like 13 or whatever. He came back and he just put it on the ground and said, he went to Australia and brought it back from here on one of his trips. He said, here, have a go. And I was like, what's this for? And he said, you want to do a competition where first one across the line? Well, there's Ironman racing that's making big money.
You're
and
surf as well?
You've got the skills, you've got the background. Yeah. Try this. And anyway, it led me down a path over there, which I got stuck into it, and I was training a lot, and to the point where I pulled out of school in my last year and deferred. I'm lost here. I forgot what I was talking about.
No, I was just saying, like when you came back from South Africa.
Okay, so that led me.
Yeah, start coaching.
Yeah, so the coaching thing came on board because I was training so much, and I needed to find work as a young teenager because I needed money, and my father wasn't spoiling me, so it needed to work in with my training. And so I was already at the pool in the afternoons, and I asked if I could coach. And to be honest, my whole life I didn't want to be a swim coach because my father was a swim coach, and I thought I'm never going to do that job. But the pay was good, and I took to it straight away as like a natural, and like any person would. I was surrounded by it from birth. I didn't know anything else, and straight away my classes built to capacity, and he started to pay me as an adult.
Yeah.
And that was very attractive.
Yeah,
as a child,
Yeah, you were like 14 years old.
14 years of age.
Young age,
paid like an adult. So, that's how I got into coaching at 14 years of age. And he was very hands-on with the mentoring. Like really would talk to me about how I'm planning sessions, why I'm doing it. He would get me to go to courses. He'd get me to sit on his squads in his classes. I would take his squads at a really young age with people that were older than me and that. So he was really hands-on with philosophy, psychology, with technique, with diet. It was just a full-rounded apprenticeship, really. And I didn't really appreciate him as a coach until I was becoming a coach myself.
To see how hard it is.
Yeah.
All the hard working,
So that happened in South Africa at 14, and because of the sport, the Ironman racing, which I started actually when I was over there, I ended up coming back over here to try and muscle my way in as a professional, and the coaching came with me. So that was another way in which I was able to keep myself afloat.
So since the beginning, like you were like split between like pool and the surf. You were all like coaching the swim and the swimming and the surf life saving since 14, or you're coaching and competing and doing everything together.
Yeah.
Full on, eh?
Yep.
No weekends.
No weekends.
Do I know how it is? Yeah. It's hard sometimes, but
Yeah. I actually, there was a period in my life where I was competing myself. I was running Learn to Swim. I was running swimming squads, going to competition swimming carnivals, and nipper coaching, which is the juniors in Surf Life Saving. So
every Sunday morning. Yeah.
it was every weekend, all weekend, including. So tough gig, but I wasn't married. I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
And had lots of energy.
I think I said this like it become like a passion. So when you see you like completely sucked in with the coaching stuff, because you can like provide, you can help people to achieve their goals and everything, and then it's like a virtuous cycle that you, when you see, you just like want to do that again and again and again and again.
It becomes addictive.
Yeah. We have this talk one day at the pool. Like I think we together, I have like since 1993. You probably since 1990. So we have together like more than 60 years of experience in coaching and everything. This is amazing. And that's pretty good. It's so interesting you telling all the stories to us, like, because that's why I want to share this kind of stuff, because people know you as a coach. Some good friends know a bit of your story, but you bring like, you're normal people with normal problems. Yeah, you have like a split marriage with, like, your parents split and you have to move countries, and you thought in quitting school, came back to school, start coaching. So everybody has like problem in life, but sometimes problems is solution, not a big trouble. Yeah, and you have to stick with the positivity.
I think with the coaching, and like what really put me in full blown into coach mode was the injury that I had. So when I had my injury, and it pulled me out of that direction of professional sport, all about myself, all about my own ego, my own dream, and straight away it flipped into being all about the kids, and all about being a better coach. And the part of me thinks that was the best thing that ever happened, and I think the older, more mature me is like, you know what, I actually ended up on the right path.
And you're gifted, because you're a good coach, like natural.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're natural. I can tell that.
As I said, I didn't have any choice, really. I was surrounded by a good mentor, and he's still very involved in what I do. I can still ring him up and talk to my father about different aspects of my business or coaching routine. But yeah, the injury actually, as you say, pushed me into that direction.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful now also that I have that skill. I have been through times in my life where I've branched out into other things and they didn't necessarily work out well, but I could always resort back to coaching. So it's been good for my mental state. It's been good financially for me. Yeah.
Good. So after the break, you're gonna come back with Damien a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about all the methodology he developed about swimming. We're gonna try to bring some subjects about like swimming teenaging, swimming for adults, and same with the surf safety, the importance of the surf safety for the community and as a sport as well. So stay tuned, we're gonna come back in a minute. This episode is provided by Fight Club Jiu-Jitsu. They have the mission to provide its members with the highest possible standards in martial arts training programs. They empower their students to achieve a healthier, happier, and more productive life through martial arts. Okay guys, we are back here with DG Swim. Now, Damien Gulliver. So I just made the joke about DG Swim and everything because I would like to bring some subject here, like more related to swim and surf safety. As I said before many times, I got very impressed. Like, I have like 25 years experience as a coach, and I was a swimmer as well. It's a long time in the pool, in the water. I have met different methodologies like through the pathway, but I got very impressed of how you can take not only a kid but an adult from zero to swimming like 400 meters no stop, breathing to the side, long strokes, good technique. So easy for me. Like, you just prepare the kids, send it to me, so it's so easier to develop all all the training when you have like good techniques since the beginning. So I remember like seeing a kid like 5-year-old or so like doing like 4x1 side breathing, perfect technique. I say, oh my gosh, this is pretty good. And some of them, they're like tumble turn, somersault and everything. So I said, oh, that's really good. So how did you develop this philosophy, and what do you think about swimming and kids?
Well, going back to, we were talking about this before, being raised by swimming coach parents. Well, they actually in the learn to swim area, they were world pioneers in a lot of techniques that we now use today. And you know, both my mother in the babies, but also my father in the more development ages, they both contributed to a lot of stuff that a lot of swim schools are using today. But watching them develop these techniques as a kid, I get a good understanding of why they do it. And a lot of the coaches that we see teaching things, especially in the learn to swim, they don't know why they're doing it. Yeah. And for me, everything has to relate to, why are we actually doing this skill? What is it leading us to? What is it supposed to achieve? And basically that sort of leads the whole philosophy. So we don't waste any time doing anything that's not going to help us progress, all right, in a direction, and know that it works with real outcomes. And so I guess that sort of governs the whole program. And for me, I'm still tweaking things to this day. So if I can find a way to get something through to a client, a child, adult, if I can find a way to do it better now, I leave the ego at the door and I change it. If a coach comes in and can show me something that's better, I steal it. Thank you. I love it. Can I please use that? You know? And so, yeah, that governs everything that I'm doing. And I had really good mentors, and they taught me to think a lot about what I'm doing and how I'm teaching it. And so I guess that's really what leads the program. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think also like time. I mean, we've done a lot of time. We've coached a lot of kids. We've coached a lot of people.
You got the feeling though.
Yeah,
we feel how the kids like behaving and everything. So for something for not gonna work for everybody. So you have to just change a little bit for another kid that's gonna work. Yeah,
that's it. And sometimes just in the assessment phase, when you first get a child in the water or an adult, you can see straight away what type of person they are, what type of athlete, or how their body's going to work in the water, whether they're a bit of a sinker, whether they can kick well, whether they're a natural.
The fear is up or not.
Up or not. And it really governs the way you teach them, whether it's through where you stand, how you use your voice, how you deliver the directions, whether you do it fast, whether you entertain that person to keep them concentrating. So many factors. And I think... So part of it was, yes, that, you know, I've got these great mentors. They taught me how to think for myself. They showed me some great fundamentals to get me started. But now I'm in a phase of my coaching where I'm drawing on all the years of experience that I did myself, the learnings that I did myself. And I think that has a lot to do with it too. Starting coaching at 14 after watching swimming coaching for 14 years, that makes me a real veteran. Yeah. You know, even though I'm 45, usually you got to be 65 to have that experience. And most 65-year-olds are finished with swimming coaching. Most of them are sick of it. And definitely, I don't see any 65-year-olds working in Learn to Swim.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the sort of the unique thing that I've got going at the moment.
What do you think about like how swimming is being like conducted by the member the associations, teachers, and nowadays about like the time, mainly like if you have an athlete training with a goal, a competition, I can understand like the high volume and amount of training intensity, because it has to be done that way. But when you talk about Learn to Swim and like juniors, what do you think about like the competitions and the amount of training they are having now? You think it's too much or?
Yeah, 100%. I think swimming is a very unique sport. I sort of try to find another sport out there where they have children doing, 6 to 15 hours a week of training, physical, arduous, killer training. And the only thing I can think of is gymnastics, but they don't really do heart rate type training.
Yeah.
and I see children as young as 10 years of age doing 6 1 to 2 hour sessions a week. Some of them you hear of the children of 10 years of age doing 8.
Some 10.
Yeah, because they think they're going to progress. And I think, that this is, we see this as coaches, and we all fall into the trap of going down that path because everybody else is going down that path. So if you want to play the game, you got to do the pain. So this is the pain, this is the game. But I think it's got to start with the game. I think the races, the way we do races in general for juniors, might not just be for this sport, it's also for surf life saving juniors. The races are long. So when you do a long race, and when I say long, they're longer than 30. They're longer than 30 seconds. The races that are right,
yeah.
And their heart rates are up, like for young people, they're up around 200. And once they're doing 2 laps, you're talking over a minute, and they're doing that race. When they go to a competition, they might race 8 times in a day, But then they start to do 200 metre races, and then they do 400 metre races, and this is for kids under 12 years of age. And in order to be able to handle these sort of races, they've got to do large volumes of training. So the design itself of the racing, the racing itself, the carnival races, is by default forcing or encouraging kids to do endurance training.
Yeah.
And I think there's a real problem with that. If I had a magic wand, I'd like to change that. Because the result of kids doing endurance training, other than the health risks, problems with their growth, problems with their, unable to keep up joints, nutrition issues that are related to deleting or reducing, elements within the body and that. But there's also issues with time. So kids are spending so much time at the pool and so much time at the carnivals.
They get sick of it.
They're sick of it, and there's a strain on the nuclear family too. Because they've got to support it. They've got to get up at 5:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. They've got to pay the money. The other kids might have things going on that they've got to put on the back burner in order to support the one child who's doing swimming. So there's a huge commitment physically, family, financially,
socially,
and I think there's a huge dropout rate in swimming.
Yeah,
because of this.
All over the world.
All over the world. And if I had a magic wand, what I would do is change the format into races, short races, that don't go beyond 50 metres until they get to about 12. I would keep it all under 50 metres. So it's very much sprint based. The training is sprint based. The races are very skill based. Good technique. Even competitions where technique is the winner for juniors.
Instead of going for the time, you go for the best technique.
Like surfing and diving and gymnastics and things like that, where they're getting judged often on their skill level. If they did this for swimming at the junior levels, then
for kids,
then they would stick at the sport, and then they would actually be better athletes in the long run, and we would have more people doing the sport in the end. I think the way that swimming itself is run, long carnivals that go all day, all weekend, I think that in itself is deterring people and getting rid of people.
Even the parents are the one that carry the people to they have to take the kids, and they're gonna have this weekend I cannot do anything because I have carnival from Friday to Sunday, at least 4 hours, 6 hours at the pool every day, and they start saying, do you think of doing another sport? Let's try to find another sport for you to do. So, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I truly, I have some. I think it's important to work with endurance for sure. It's necessary, but as you said, for young age kids, I think it's getting too much. And as you said, kids are swimming 8-9 times a week with 8, 9, 10-year-old. When they got to 16, they don't want to see the pool for training anymore.
You were like that. I was like that. I think, and also you got to think about the child psychology too. When a kid signs up for rugby or even swimming, they want to race. They want the game.
Yeah.
And so when you go to training in swimming, as soon as you say we're doing some races, 1 lap races, there's excitement. kids want to race. You know, as soon as we say we're going to do an endurance set, kids want to get out of the pool. Unless they're training for elite level, juniors, elites, they want to get out of the pool.
Yeah.
And some people of our generation say, the kids are just lazy today. No, they're smarter.
They have more options.
They're smarter. They just
Too many
they know what they
nowadays,
like. They know what they like. You know what I mean? The generation today wants it now. They want to have fun all the time. They want to be excited all the time. I think there's a way of putting endurance into programs and keeping the fun and the excitement. But I think the days of doing, getting 10-year-olds to do 4100s, I think those days are gone. I think there's a very small amount of kids that are willing to do that. And I think...
and I don't know if it's effective for 8 or 9-year-olds.
It's not.
Too much.
It's not.
They're going to just lose the concentration, the technique, and then where the injury comes and everything. So, yeah. Certain point of career, you're going to have to do that, but not with 8, 9-year-old. Yeah. Yeah, good. What about adult swimming? Now I'm going to bring a little bit of my experience as well. We have worked together with that. So most of the listeners, they are adults that are ashamed of themselves because they don't know how to swim. Don't be ashamed. Just try to find a pool and try to give it a try. Let's give it a try to see if you can break the problem you have. Sometimes it comes with you don't have any conscience what happened for you to have the fear of the water. But I remember I had one adult swimmer in Brazil that she couldn't take a shower. She couldn't put the face in the water underneath the shower because she was completely afraid. And what happened in her life, she couldn't remember.
Maybe a past life.
Yeah, no, but actually, she remembered during the class. She started swimming with me, so we start with the fundamentals, the adaptation to the water, breathing the water, floating, all the stuff. And one day she came to me, I remember when I was a baby, I was taking a shower and I got I think I just sleep in the bathtub, and my mom got a little bit afraid that I can remember I drink a lot of water. So the swimming was on a therapy. So she remembered what happened, and she clicked. Now she can swim 5 kilometers in the open water race.
Wow.
She's a swimmer, open water swimmer. But she started swimming with 45-year-old, 50-year-old.
Wow.
So that's why. So what do you think about adult swimming and the importance of swimming for adults that or like to swim or even don't know how to swim?
Well, I think a lot of people know themselves that there's really sort of holistic benefits of being in water. I think people know that instinctively. And I think even people that are really fearful of water and say they don't want to go near it, I think deep down they do. And there's a real reason why we like to get up and have a shower, go and have a swim. And there's a lot of science coming out now. I listened to a podcast actually a couple of days ago with a guy here in Australia called Pete Evans, and he was interviewing a gentleman that specialises in water, and he was talking about the fact that basically the research is we've only researched probably 1% of the benefits of what covering yourself in water is and how that affects your body and your cells. So there's a lot there, I guess, holistically and medicine. There's a real medicine covering yourself in water. But outside of that, a lot of people that I've bumped into who are very fearful of the water, adults who haven't learned to swim, they just haven't really given it a try. And I always feel that if they actually can get past that fear, they're introducing such a great thing for their life.
Yeah.
And when they don't have it, they don't really realise it so much. They know it's there, but I think once they actually can feel comfortable in the water, it just opens up
another universe.
Yeah,
it's a different universe, I think.
They can swim in the ocean. They can
Put the
swim
face
in
in the
lakes.
water.
Yeah, they can eventually go water skiing or jet skiing and feel safe. Get on a boat and feel safe. Some of them don't even feel safe on a boat. Snorkeling and the great thing about swimming, which you already know, is that it's a great sport to do, which is low impact. And as we get older, we've got we usually carry a lot of injuries, and people like yourself will say, listen, I need you to go to the swimming pool to stay fit because you're carrying weight, but we need to get you staying fit. You've got a bit of weight on there, but you can't run because of your injury. Can you swim? And if that person's fearful, they can't do anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Most of the doctors and physiotherapists nowadays, like, not nowadays, like this is a long age ago. It's like we started like just direct people to swimming because of not all the benefits we know about the physiologic benefits and the low impact as well. And yeah, it's pretty good. I think the same way. I think sometimes people get the adult swim and don't give too much assistance for the ones that are like ashamed that don't know how to swim. Like, and I can see you. Like, doesn't matter like which age it is, you're in the water with the person trying to teach, and I can see like some teachers nowadays, they are a bit lazier. They don't want to get in the pool and keep your sneakers on the back of the pool, and something can happen. You have to jump. You're a swim coach, so you have to be aware of everything. Just changing a little bit the subject. So you said that you have like some goals on the other branch apart from swimming and coaching. Like, I remember that you have like a big brand of surfboards or so, and you have like a financial problem. And I just want to ask you, like, how was it? Because you not the problem. I'm saying not the proper problem, but how was to go back to something that, because I think you had to quit coaching for a while to give yourself to the business, because business is quite consuming as well. And then the business didn't go through, and then after some years you just have, I have to get back coaching after 3 years or 4 years. And how was it
Well,
getting back on coaching after a while?
yeah, so what I did was I was involved in, actually it was a very similar industry. I was involved in designing and selling surf hardware for a multitude of different sports: surf lifesaving, stand-up paddling, surfboards. I got involved in that, and the business grew very quickly, actually, and we ended up in about 9 countries with our gear, and we expanded our operation in the manufacturing overseas, and we took some big risks working with some some people that we were still working out whether we could trust them or not, and we probably took a risk that we shouldn't have taken, which landed us in some hot water where one of our partners went under, and it really affected our business, which then, when I say under, they went bankrupt, and that affected our business because we had a lot of product within the factory, a whole year's worth of product, in fact, and so it destroyed it destroyed the company. You could imagine it was very hard for us to recover from that, and so it was the end of an era there. We did that for about 6 or 7 years, and at the end of it, though, I was working 7 days a week, only Christmas Day off, and it was a lot of stress, managing it, and the stress came from just doing too much, and money, and getting unhealthy. We were moving money backwards and forwards, so that you're watching your bank account go up high and then disappear to nothing when you're producing and building stock, and there's a lot of there's a lot of stress related to that. I don't think I was experienced enough in that area, watching big figures move around, and I was definitely being
overwhelmed.
I was overwhelmed with the potential for the business to go upside down anyway at any time, because we really did have to rely heavily on other outside partners to make sure that we could produce our product. Anyway, so it fell over, and at the time I thought it was the end of the world. I really did. We lost everything.
And then you saw water in the end of the tunnel, not the light.
Yeah. So a very good friend of mine saw me putting on a lot of weight, getting quite pale, spending all my time in the office, and just said, listen, I need a coach. I'm at one of the surf clubs. Actually, it was Mermaid Beach Surf Club, a good friend of mine. He said, just come down, and so they had a very good team of guys there, and they basically was a babysitting job. They just wanted me to babysit some guys that were already the Australian champions, and I think it was just a ploy to get me down and involved, and it was the best thing. So it just sort of got me back out in the water. I lost weight and put on some muscle and felt good about myself again, and then straight away I decided that I wanted to have an impact in coaching again. So I asked for some work, because these guys were already champions. I didn't feel like I was really doing any work there. So I just asked to work with the juniors. And then from that, a lot of them asked if I was still swim coaching, and I decided to do some swim coaching to coach those juniors. And then I guess word of mouth, and now we are where we are now.
Like a phoenix, reborn, resilience. That's the guy. Yeah, that I asked this question because like nobody knows, but we have quite a similar story. Like apart from the fact we were like thousands of kilometers apart, so we were born in the same year. I was a swimmer at a young age. I started coaching with 17-year-old as well. So we have like pretty much like, if you check, I don't know why, energy or like all the universe that just bring up together. But if you see, even the dates are similar. And I had the same, I didn't go to so I went to the sailing. So I just quit coaching for a while to do sail making. And I opened up a business, same thing. Like a lot of stress and work. And in the end of the day, I just realized every time that I look to the pool and say, this is my gift, this is what I know what to do. Even though I sometimes in some point of my life I try to avoid that, say no, this is not for me, this is not my story, I'm gonna try to do something different. But as soon as I get back to the pool and get back on coaching and feel good, I can do that, like it's pretty much like a gift. And I feel the same thing with you. So I know that as soon as you get there in the pool, even though it's like work, sometimes work is work. It doesn't matter what type of work you're going to be doing. It's work. Every day you'll be there. You have all the... But that's why I asked this. I have the same situation with the sail making. I stopped and then I was thinking, this is done. We are ruined, like financial troubles. Like, of course, the personal life was running upside down. And you just said, like, okay, I'm gonna get back on coaching. When you see everything start to flow again, so we have to stick close to the water. Yeah. No matter what.
Yeah, I think for the both of us, when we're in those roles, coaching and in the water, we're comfortable, and I think we're producing that energy. I think we're attracting people because we're relaxed and we're comfortable and confident. And I think that's really a good thing about us two when we work together. I think. What really impressed me actually when I first met you, when you first got in the pool, was I wasn't even looking at your coaching. I was looking at the people that you were coaching, then their reactions to your energy and your style of coaching. And immediately the kids just, to use a surfing term, they just frothed you. Like they were really enjoying company, they were really enjoying instruction, the parents were really excited. And that was probably because, again, like going back, you're in a comfortable place. Yeah. You trade, you're confident, you're loving what you're doing. I think that's the phase at the moment, and we're just building on that.
Yeah. Good. And here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your business now, the swim school. So you're running like the swim school at Isle of Capri, at the state Surf Paradise State School, and talk a little bit about your business nowadays.
Yep. So I'll give it a plug, shameless plug.
Go for it.
All right. So we've got we start children there at 4 years of age. The reason for that is the pool is probably not suitable for kids younger in terms of temperature or depth. So 4 years of age through to adults, and I think the Gold Coast is, my understanding is, it's the most competitive environment in the world for swim schools. I think there's more swim schools per capita here in this town than anywhere else in the world. So I really wanted a point of difference, and so I searched within myself to think, where am I different? What is unique about my style of coaching and my background? Because a lot of swim schools are run by ex-swimmers. A lot of us are very similar in temperament, so I wanted to stand out. And so I guess I fell back on my roots, and I said to myself, I want this to be a more surf-focused swim school, which makes sense because we probably are one of the closest swim schools to the ocean, and we're called Surfers Paradise School.
Yeah.
Surfers Paradise beach is probably, 2 kilometres. Probably.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
It's not far.
5 minutes walk.
And most of the kids live on the beach. I wanted to have a swim school that focused on children and adults that do ocean sport.
The swim safety as well,
Yeah,
surf safety and everything comes up.
And so that evolved into offering surf safety classes, because I was already doing that for years. Back in the 90s, I used to do it with my swim school, but I also used to do it for surf lifesaving clubs. So these clubs are same as soccer clubs or football clubs, except they run, basically lifeguard programs. You would call them that if you've never seen them before. They're lifeguard programs where they race, train, and learn the skills to become a lifeguard. But then beyond that, they can compete. All right. So they can manage the beach. Eventually, these juniors can manage the beach, but then they can do competition. So there's probably a large percentage of the swim school that are involved in that club environment, but there's also others that come there that just want to be safe in the ocean. So we obviously teach them the skills to, in terms of swimming, we teach them to swim, teach them to do freestyle, whatever. And then when they get to a point, we ask them, would you like to learn surf survival? And then we take them to the lake or the rivers. We teach them to do open water swimming and some rescue techniques and how to save yourself and your friends and things like that. And then we progress them into the ocean, and it's just a slow, gradual, step by step until they're confident, and then we can let them go.
Yeah.
Let them go to have fun.
Yeah.
And if they want to take it to the next level, we offer courses in that too, and we also offer learn to surf.
Yeah.
So there's that club environment, but then there's also the recreational environment, and then there's that competition environment. But it's mainly people who come to my swim school, outside of that real learn to swim environment. Most people are coming there because they want to get ready for the ocean.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know many other swim schools that do that.
Yeah. And that's the unique part.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So this was the third episode with Damien Gulliver. Thanks for coming, mate. It's always good to have a chat with you. I know that we have a lot of subjects we can bring up to and start to talk. Probably going to have to do another podcast about it.
I might have to interview you.
Yeah, come on. I have nothing to say.
You got a lot to say.
Yeah. But thanks for coming, and this was the third episode of Solid Sports by Solid People with Damien Gulliver.
Thanks, mate.
This was Solid Sports by Solid People, the podcast that will bring the other side of the sports person. Stay tuned.